I can tell you I will probably never use a debit card again in my life because you have to sacrifice in the moment. It kind of sucks. The cool thing about a Roth IRA is that you're not taxed when you go to take it out. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be a little bit different. I've been reflecting lately on me turning 30 very soon, like within a couple weeks. I like to kind of reflect and just see what changes I can make. And something that I noticed, particularly when it comes to money and finances, is how much more I know now than I did 10 years ago when I was turning 20. And like, if I had known these 10 years ago, my life could be different now. I just could have set myself up for financial success a lot sooner and probably not had to live with my parents as long as I did. I think I was like 24 before I moved out. So let's get into it. Part one is student loans. I feel like this is so many people right now, like so many people are in this boat. And just recently, like literally this past week, I paid off my last student loan, which is amazing. So I had been prioritizing my private student loans. The interest rate was a lot higher, the amount was just a lot higher, and obviously federal loans were on pause. They were frozen, right, because of COVID and everything. So I have been making payments, big payments. I was putting about half my paycheck on these loans. I know not everybody is going to be able to do that because it may take your entire paycheck just to live. But the point that I want to make here is do not just make the minimum payment. If you have chosen the college route, definitely look into like community colleges first, by the way, because sometimes you can go for free. I went to community college for free. So I had half the debt that I would have because my debt is only from university. But if you're out of college, you're in debt, you're paying on those loans, I cannot tell you how much interest you will save, like how much money you will save in the long run over the course of the loan, like the life of the loan, if you make more than the minimum payment. Even if it's only $5, if you're like, I literally can't, I can't make a double payment, like that's insane, put that extra $5 onto your student loans. I know this is one of those things where because you have to sacrifice in the moment, it kind of sucks. You could put it into one of those like student loan payoff calculator type things online and you would see the difference, because compound interest can be your best friend if we're talking about investing, which we will in a little bit, but it can also be your worst enemy when it comes to debt. Start paying on them right away too. I didn't wait to graduate to start paying on them because I'm pretty sure the interest starts collecting right away. Also consider refinancing. So if you've been paying on them for a while and you're like, dang, like this 12% interest rate really sucks, see if you can refinance. A lot of times a company will be able to like bundle them all into one payment. The point of refinancing is to get a lower interest rate. And again, that means you're paying back less money over the life of the loan. There's also like, I think at least 4 different like income-based repayment options. I think it's studentaid.gov is like the, at least for the US, that's like the website, the federal government's website. Definitely do your research and figure out like how your payment can change based on what you're making. My next thing that I want to talk about is credit cards, particularly something called credit card churning. Now, if you were like me, you grew up hearing credit cards and debt in the same sentence. It was always like ads on TV for like getting out of credit card debt or something like that. So hearing a word or something that's synonymous with debt is kind of scary. They can be helpful and beneficial if you follow certain steps. So I started this in August. I got, I think it was the Chase Sapphire card, Sapphire Preferred. I got that one just because I liked that it was a lower annual fee. It costs $95 to have the card instead of like, some of them are like really expensive. It can cost you like $700. Although on the other hand, some of them are free. So it just depends on what kind of card you get. And I also liked the bonus points, like the sign up bonus. So if you spend a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time, it could be like spend $500 in your first month or spend $2,000 in your first 3 months or whatever, you can get points. So 60,000 bonus points is what I received, which equals about $600. You can also redeem for travel. And typically when you're redeeming for something, instead of them just putting the cash in your account, you get more benefits basically. And so that's what boyfriend and I are gonna do. We're thinking about going to Florida and we're gonna be able to fly economy for free. The other one that I have is I just actually applied for the Built MasterCard, which is the only credit card in existence that allows you to pay your rent with a credit card without the transaction fee. And then you can be earning points for paying your rent, which is usually the highest expense that most people have who are renting in a month's time. The whole idea behind credit card churning is that every 3 to 6 months, you are buying a new card and collecting another sign-on bonus. That's the whole point, is to collect the points and then redeem them for travel or something like that, and basically be able to fly for free or rent a car for free. Like, you're using your points that you are earning for money that you would have spent anyway to pay for things. You never carry a balance, so you're never charged interest, so you never go into debt. You're not spending more money than what's actually in your checking account. Just because they gave you a $5,000 credit limit does not mean you're gonna go spend $5,000 at your favorite store. That's not what this is. I can tell you I will probably never use a debit card again in my life. I'm not getting anything out of it. Like, I'm not getting any sort of rewards or anything. Yeah, I just don't see the point of using them anymore. They're also a great way to build your credit score if you're like, I know I'm not gonna get approved, I have like super poor credit, like I've messed up in the past, like there's no way. I promise you there are ones out there, they don't even have a fee. Everything's kind of on hold until you make that first payment and they can see that you're financially responsible enough to have one. So it's like a slower process, but there are ones out there for all different like income levels, credit scores. So I'm gonna link some channels below that have more information about this, because it feels like you're like hacking the system or something. I don't know how to explain it, so I'm kind of obsessed with it. So the next thing I want to talk about is just living within your means. Now, unfortunately, because of inflation and everything nowadays and just the state of the economy, I feel like it's kind of impossible to not live within your means. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. But what I mean by this is, like, when we were getting this apartment, like deciding if we wanted to stay in our 1-bedroom, get a 2-bedroom, which we really wanted to do. There's other apartment complexes in our area. They have like valet trash service and like resort style pools and like, you know, all sorts of fancy things, but they're also a lot more expensive. And the apartment complex that we live in now is perfectly fine. It's great, management is great and friendly, and maintenance is quick. Like, we've had no issues. And it's a lot more affordable. So we decided to, you know, apply here again, to stay here instead of moving somewhere else, because we can save a couple $100s a month and make sure that we're living within our means instead of going over that like 30% mark. I think that's like the general rule of thumb, is that your housing, whether that's like your rent or mortgage or whatever, really shouldn't be more than 30% of your income. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is that if you are kind of flirting with debt right now, just because you can buy it doesn't mean that you should buy it. Going along with that, do your expenses at the end of the month. This is a huge thing. Now, I'm still learning how to like set a budget at the beginning of the month and stick to it. For whatever reason, I find that really difficult. But doing my expenses at the end of the month is pretty easy. And I make it fun, so I love to journal. I do a little pie chart, like I make it look cute and aesthetic. Now, for you, that might be totally different. You may just be like a spreadsheet person and you don't want to go to the trouble of making it all cute, but you should still break down things into like an essential category and a non-essential category. That's the easiest way to break down and see like what you needed to buy and then the extra things over here that you didn't really need. There was a point in time where I didn't know. Like, I knew how much money I had in the bank, obviously, because like you can check your account and see, but I didn't know how much money I was spending every month. I wasn't keeping track of it. The next thing that I want to talk about is investing. You need to start investing like yesterday. I cannot tell you how important this is, and I've done so much research on this and my mind is blown. It was kind of like I was saying earlier, where compound interest can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I know it can be really intimidating at first, especially if you hear the word investing and you think of like the stock market. It just seems like really complicated. Now that I've done a little bit of research, I can kind of understand how important it is to start as early as possible. The main way that I do this, and what I recommend that everybody do if you're in your 20s or 30s, go on to like Vanguard or some website like that, like a really reputable brokerage firm, and search for their Roth IRA options. I have one that's like a target date one, which I think is for 2055, and it's one of those ones that's AI managed. So I don't pay an investor to manage my funds. It's all managed by the computer based on, you know, somebody who would be retiring in 2055. You just pick whichever one is closest to whenever you will be turning 60 or, you know, like close to retirement age, and you just put however much money you can afford to put in every month. Ideally, this would be like after you've gotten out of debt, so you want to take care of your debts first and then move on to investing. That's typically what I've heard anyway. The cool thing about a Roth IRA is that you're not taxed when you go to take it out. So a normal IRA, they will tax you because the money that you're putting in is like pre-tax. Roth IRA is you're putting in money after your paycheck's already been taxed. So when I go to take it out in 2055 or whatever, I get to keep everything that's in there instead of it being taxed. The idea is that over time it's gonna grow, and that compound interest is gonna like basically make it grow exponentially. I do think you're taxed if you take it out early though, so that's something to consider. You could invest in something like precious metals, so like gold or silver. Silver is obviously gonna be a lot more affordable. Gold is like $2,000 an ounce right now, I think. Maybe more, maybe less. It, you know, it fluctuates. It depends on the economy. But that would be something that you could like physically own. I have a whole bunch of those buffalo coins, like the silver buffalo coins. And so if you're ever feeling broke, because that's a big thing too, is like your mindset, you can just get out your very heavy coins and kind of feel like a pirate. Like a pirate who just found treasure. I keep like half of mine on me and then half of them in a safe deposit box at the bank. And then my last point that I want to make is not getting too comfortable. This is something that I was guilty of for years. I worked retail, making like $1 more than minimum wage for way too long. I did that for like 3 years. Even when I went up into a management position, like I was barely making more than minimum wage. I don't know. Well, I do know. I stayed because it was comfortable. Like, I was living at home. I didn't have rent. This was post-college, by the way. Like, I was just in a weird space in my life. This would have been like 2017, 2018. It was partly because I liked it. I was working at the bookstore. I've done a video about this. I can link it in the cards. If I was gonna do retail, if I had to have a job, then, you know, at least I was able to like spend my time with books all day. I enjoyed that I could like check books out like it was a library. We would do author signings every now and then. I thought that was really cool. It's still retail, so like it's still not the funnest job in the world. You're still dealing with like angry customers and stuff. I should have recognized sooner it wasn't worth me being there. They weren't paying me what, you know, I literally had a college degree and I was just it was just a weird time in my life where I was living on autopilot. I was just like stuck. I don't know. It was like a mental block. I still don't know. Part of me feels like I was supposed to be there and I was supposed to stay because eventually my boyfriend got a job there. My current boyfriend, we weren't boyfriend, girlfriend at the time. I immediately knew like we were gonna be a thing. And anyway, a couple months went by, our friendship got a lot stronger, and then eventually we started hanging out, and now here we are. We live together and we've been together for like 3 years now. So I do think part of me, like the universe needed me there because like that was how we met. But if you know you're working a job like that and you could be doing better, even if you don't have a degree, but if you know you could be doing better and there's nothing keeping you there, like your future partner or whatever, not that pay should be the only thing that like motivates you, but I just feel like don't be like me and don't just stay somewhere because it's just easy. It's not fun wasting your time like that, and there could be something out there for you that you don't even know it exists right now because you're not really trying. You're not even going out and looking, you know? Something that I realize as I get older and time goes by so much faster is that like time is precious. Like it is the most precious commodity that we have. So finding something that you at least enjoy and don't dread getting up and going to do, that's a big thing. It is worth kind of snapping yourself out of it and finding something that you will actually enjoy. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I have. Those were all my little tips. I hope that this sparked something within you to at least go out and do some research. Because honestly, no one's gonna do the research except you. Like you literally just have to do it for yourself. I know it can kind of seem a little bit boring, but I promise the more you know about it, like the more you start to learn about it, the more curious you're gonna be. That's kind of what happened to me when I started learning about investing. At first I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Like there's no way I'm gonna learn how to trade on the stock market or whatever. Same thing with credit cards. I'm like, that seems so complicated. There's so many rules and restrictions. Like I don't know that I would ever be able to do that responsibly. I'm telling you guys, if you just do some research, you would be surprised. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.